everyone, and happy spring. Starting in May, I'm going to be teaching a rather extensive course on the nodes, on Rahu and Ketu. And I thought I would share with you tonight a simple technique that is going to be part of what we learn on this course. And as well as showing you this particular technique, I'm also going to combine some other things without going further in depth with it, just to give you an idea of some of the things that you can learn to do in association with looking at Rahu and Ketu in the chart. But just a little bit more about this course, which you should see a link to in the window up here. It's going to start on the 7th of May, and it's going to run consecutive Saturdays through until next March, the 17th of March next year. That's 2018. We will take a break around the holidays from late November through to early January. So there will be a break for the holidays. But if you'd like to know more about this course, there's a link up above. Rahu and Ketu, it's really vitally important to understand these two shadowy grahas in a horoscope. But by the same token, it's one of the most difficult things to do because there's so much that's going on when an individual is either in Ketu Dasha or they're in Rahu Dasha. So it's one of the things that astrologers have a very difficult time with quite often, but equally it's tends to be the periods when individuals go to astrologers the most. So it's really important to learn how to master these two planets and how to read them in the chart. So I'm going to show a quick technique tonight that basically just involves understanding how Rahu can create separation from specific things. Now, I want to point out something briefly in the Rashi chart of this individual. This individual has Ketu in the 2nd and Rahu in the 8th. Now, I just want to talk briefly, pardon me, about that particular position to give you an understanding of it. Ketu 2nd house positions, these individuals, they like to be resourceful for themselves. They don't want to be in positions of having to rely upon other people's resources, whether those resources be financial resources or even just letting somebody else help them with something. They tend to not really like to have to get involved with that. So basically, because Rahu is in Virgo, this individual is quite likely in their Rahu Dasha to get in a position where they are feeling that they're having to work hard in order to accomplish something. Their mind thinks, if I work hard in order to accomplish something, it's going to really place me in a position where I'm getting really far with things. But quite often it doesn't. And the individual finds that instead, the only thing that the struggling is giving them is struggle. And so what are they meant to learn through that struggle? How to stop struggling, right? Seems simple, but it's hard to do, right? Especially if you're of the mindset that if I work hard, I'm really going to get something done. Because what this Rahu Virgo position exists to teach the person about is it's not you that is the doer. So you are here doing things, but you're being worked through. And it's not that you're doing things in order to accomplish something. You're doing things if you're doing things to accomplish something, you're doing things to accomplish the fulfillment of the karma or the rectification of the karma in your chart. And it's not for you to necessarily enjoy the fruits of those labors, unless it's within your destiny to enjoy the fruits of those labors. And so basically, the individual will get placed in circumstances where they feel like they're struggling to get somewhere and they're never really accomplishing anything. And it's to teach them how to surrender, because with the concept of surrender comes the understanding that if God is wanting to accomplish something through you, it will just happen. And you don't have to attach a lot of extra mental and emotional energy to it. You just merely have to go along for the journey. So I want to show you how this is impacting this particular individual in the financial areas of their life. So we're going to take a look at the Hora chart and the Chaturtamsha chart. The Hora chart basically is going to relate to an individual's capacity to fulfill their needs and the resources that they have to do so. So with the Hora chart, in terms of finances, we're looking more at the amount of money an individual would have in order to take care of their needs. When you're looking at the Chaturtamsha or the D4, you're looking at an individual's capacity to feel secure and happy with the amount of fortune that they have, to feel stable, to feel like they have something to fall back on that's more than just what they need to take care of the basic necessities in their life. So both of those are important. And interestingly enough, quite often you can find areas where a person will have a strong Hora chart but a weak Chaturtamsha, or a strong Chaturtamsha and a weak Hora, right? If somebody has a strong Chaturtamsha, they may have a lot of money in the bank, but if their Hora chart is weak, it never feels like it's enough. Simultaneously, if somebody has a strong Hora chart, they're able to take care of all their needs, even though their Chaturtamsha chart might be weak and they don't have any money in the bank. Okay, so looking at this particular chart, Rahu is here in Pisces. And in terms of understanding Rahu's position, it's important to understand the planet that's ruling Rahu primarily. And if Rahu is in a Rashi with another planet, the planet that's there with Rahu secondarily, okay? So in doing that, we can see that Rahu's in Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter, and you've got a debilitated Jupiter. As we also look at this, I'll just bring up another chart down here, we can also see that Rahu here is joined with Mars. And if we look at Mars, Mars is in a great friend sign, but it's mainly Jupiter that we're concerned about because that Jupiter is debilitated. And so it's going to create a lot of difficulties for Rahu as he tries to fulfill the individual's needs. And as it does so, it's going to impact this 4th and 11th cusp over here, which is his capacity to feel secure with where he's going in the future in terms of being able to fulfill his needs, pay bills, things along those lines, or aspirations that the individual has towards being able to get into a position where they're actually able to save some. And because this is also the 5th equal house, it'll also potentially place the individual in positions where they're having a difficult time making really smart decisions financially. And Rahu as well is going to impact the 8th equal house. And so it may make it that the individual tries to take out loans during that time, but he's not going to have an easy time getting a loan. In addition to that, he may be in a position where he has to rely upon somebody else's resources, potentially a sibling, because Mars here rules the 3rd, and Mars is also the natural karaka for siblings. And so he may have to fall back on the finances of a sibling, but that sibling's not too willing to help. And because Rahu is here with Mars, there may be all sorts of power struggles with the individual sibling. And because Mars is here in Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, his sibling may get somewhat frustrated with him. And this begins to tear down the individual's confidence because Rahu is in Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, and the nakshatra is going to show the way in which the individual grows Rahu. So as the individual is growing their Rahu, they're wanting to feel more confident and like they can really fight for something and be successful. Only thing is it's not likely going to turn out to be successful for this individual. And it's going to separate them from their goals, as we can see by Rahu influencing the 11th cusp and equally the 11th equal house. And in terms of that as well, it'll likely cause the individual to make some poor decisions that affect their success for the future, so to speak. When we go and we look at the Chaturtamsha chart, we can see Rahu is with Mars again, so there's still those power struggles. And Rahu is going to separate, again, the individual from the potential of being able to put the money back that they want for the future. And it's going to separate them from, on many levels, being able to be successful. And Rahu's here in the second, and he's always going to have, as per the Rashi chart, an 8th house agenda. So he's always going to make the individual have to focus upon having to have somebody else help him. And so as that's happening, he's not getting the help that he wants in doing that, and it's separating him from his goals and equally from his capacity to make very sound decisions that make him secure for the future. And it places him in a position where he's having to rely upon the resources of others, and he makes poor decisions along the way, because we can see the 5th cusp there that begin to impact his relationship to a sibling, and it keeps him overall from being successful in the long run. Now, as we look at this too, we can see that Rahu's Lord is Mercury, and Mercury is here in the 11th from Rahu. So it means that the individual really is trying to plan for the future, and it's not working out as well as he might like for it to. And equally, because Mercury's in the 12th from the ascendant, there's a lot of expense involved in terms of being able to plan for the future. And he ends up falling behind with things. And again, that just furthers the need for him to rely upon resources of another individual, which will be most likely a sibling for this individual. We go back to the Hora chart. We can see it's the same thing, that Rahu is here in Pisces, and Jupiter's in the 11th from Rahu and the 12th from the ascendant. So the goals that the individual is wanting to achieve financially, they're just continually seem to be setbacks, and there's a lot of expense along the way, and not really able to find anybody to help him in terms of becoming more successful. So this was just a simple technique, and I just wanted to kind of let you know one of the things that we're going to be covering on this course. But further to that, there are so many other things that we're going to talk about on this course, and it's going to be several weeks long. We'll cover Rahu and Ketu through the nakshatras and what that means, Rahu and Ketu in each of the rashis and how to understand that, Rahu and Ketu in each of the houses and how to understand how that influences, how to read the position of Rahu and Ketu's Lord from Rahu and Ketu themselves, how to understand what the nodes are really all about astronomically, which will also teach you a lot of the symbolism of the nodes, how to understand the nodes mythologically, which will also give you a deeper understanding of the nodes. There's just so much, almost every single thing that you could think of about Rahu and Ketu. This is the Rahu and Ketu course. It's going to be going on for quite a long time. So it starts on the 7th of May and again runs consecutive Saturdays through March 17th, 2018. Again, there will be a break around the holidays. So if you'd like more information on this course, please look in one of the links that's going to appear somewhere on this page. Bye for now.